Welcome back to Dow Twang. I'm Dave. We're just in the first week of 2024 here. We're going to have a great year on here. Thanks to everybody for the support since we started this Patreon site page about 6 months ago. And if you're just joining us or recently signed up and I haven't spoken to you directly yet, thank you so much and hope you're finding some cool stuff over here to kind of supplement the YouTube side. Now, if you, well, in that intro just now, when I went back to edit it, I noticed that the view of the guitar wasn't that good. It was kind of, the camera was tilted down a little bit, or, not low enough to, so it was kind of cutting out the bottom of it. You could still see what was going on, but I've adjusted that so you have a better view of the guitar. And then I even put a little bit more of this window in this behind here. So it's our first real snow this year. It's really pretty. You might see some birds come and land there on that cedar. There's a feeder, a deck and a feeder right behind me out of view of that window. So we got a lot of wild birds out here. It's kind of one of our, cat TV, my wife calls it, right? They all sit there by the window in the other room and watch them. But it's just a really pleasant, laid-back day here. So, I don't know if you saw the YouTube video this week. We just put it out a couple of days ago. And it's the Stonesy thing, right? It's not a Stones cover. It's not meant to be a tutorial on how to play like Keith Richards and all of that. But, it has a little bit of that feeling. So I just kind of, kept riffing on that. And the more that I kept digging into that, the more Stonesy it got, right? So I thought it was worthy of, bringing over here and working on this week. Because what we did over there on YouTube was we did, the metaphor was we painted with a very broad brush, right? We kind of got in there and grinded out, a lot of these. We talked about, it's in B. We're using B minor pentatonic. We'll go over the backing track real quick here in just a second. And down below, I'll have a file that you can save, download, put in loopers, whatever you want to do with it. A longer one than what's on those YouTube videos. So we talked about, doubling up on the strings and just kind of experimenting with, and how versatile that idea is, right? How you really just have to get in there and explore like what's got the, just beefing up that sound with those double, those two string harmonies within that familiar shape of pentatonic. Today, the main thing is we're still going to be using that right here in this position. We're going to do it all right here. But we're going to get into the timing of it and a few simple ideas that you can use to really diversify your timing and mostly like where you start in the measure with the lick, okay? And to do that, I didn't really, kind of map it out as lick number one, lick number two. I thought about that, but there's really three versions of this, what we're doing with where we enter the measure. One is right on the one is right on the two, and one is on the and of one. So before we demonstrate that and really get into it here, let's put this backing track on and just take a listen and get kind of loosened up. Just get in that position of that B minor pentatonic and just, play along with me for a minute if you want. And don't worry about copying anything right now. Just get limber. I'll give you some space. Just get in there. more space that you leave in there, the more, you know, action you're going to get, right? And you're taking breaks between your licks, right? The chords are just B. I'll wait for it to come around. Then E and D. Okay, and if you saw that other video, we kind of spent a little time just talking briefly about that other stuff that's going on the other guitar track. But, you know, just let it be the person that's playing, you know, next to you in the band or whatever, right? You don't have to, you know, copy all of that. You can if you want. But, you know, play off of it, play in between it, right? Make that something that you're interacting with, not just, you know, duplicating, okay? So that's why I set it up with two guitars like that. The other one is just straight, you know, it's just a chunk, 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 chunk. So here's what's going on with this, where we enter the measure with these licks. And we're going to do a lot of kind of similar note choices for this, right? Because it's the timing thing that we're really demonstrating here, right? And we're doing both at the same time. But, you know, if you thought that intro sounded a little repetitive, well, I keep staying in that same, you know, note grouping. But the difference is the way that the timing choices interact with that groove. Here's the first one. We're going to do this on beat 2, first of all. Let me demonstrate it, and then we'll get into it. Okay, now let's leave that on for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, and boom. 2, 3, and 4, and boom. Ba, be, da, ba, boom, da, ba. 1, 2, and 3, boom, and ba, da. Okay, so now that we've kind of located that beat 2 and sang it a little bit, let's get back in there. Now I can come up from under it too. I don't have to start at that higher part of the neck, right? I could wait for 2 and go 1. And do that again. 1. Okay. Now my lick going up there wasn't as, I'm not as warmed up. I just kind of was trying to demonstrate it, right? But you get the idea. You could start, let's start with that first one that I've been doing. And we're going to slow this down and do a little counting here, a little toe tapping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. There's your first little move on that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2 and 3. Sorry, 1, 2, 3. Right. You don't have to count the whole measure. 1, 2, 3. That really attacks that beat 2 and where that snare is in the drum kit, right? Then I'm doing a little, more of a bluesy legato sounding thing coming up there. 1. Okay, and I may have done some different embellishments at the end of that, to just sort of, mix it up. Right? But that's the long and the short of it. And so really, I mean, put that loop on and just that track on and just wear that out. Just boom, ba, ding, ba, boop, bow, bow, ba, doo, da, bow. Keep that going, and you'll start to drop other stuff in there and kind of modify it, but you'll always have that. It really lets your body know where that drum rhythm is, right? So that's the first one with beat 2. Now let's look at the and of 1. Here's a quick demonstration of that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now when I went up and did the, I may have gone on beat 2, may have done our other one for that when I went 1. But that, so let's slow it down, that and of 1. So we need to put the 8th notes into our counting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And you can do different stuff with your notes. Just use that scale. Let yourself go on that part of it. I like to do that bend coming down on that lick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Then I'm following it up with a similar one that we did on the lick 1, the one that emphasizes that comes in on the beat 2. That's just a good old minor pentatonic rock. Okay, now let me do a little bit more demonstration of that, and I'll do some going up and down, but then I'll mix it in. Some of them will be on the and of 1, and some of them will be right on the 2, and see if you can start to kind of see what's going on with that, how I'm alternating them and doing them in different places. It does start to get into the Keith Richards territory, right? And you can see his body, all that, all of that. He's just letting his body really, steer where all of this stuff is going with those, when he does, when he really pulls his arm back there, I would say it looks like he's trying to start a lawnmower or something, right? So, I mean, it's just exaggerated. And those are upbeats. Those are, that's that funky stuff that he's doing. It's just so cool. And, a lot of it is repetitive. If you notice in a lot of Stonesy jams, and certainly with the Rolling Stones, if you're seeing them live or listening to a live recording, sometimes they do more of an arranged version because it's a live album or something. But if you go see them, like I have over the years, they will just keep cycling and rotating, and it takes many times around sometimes for him to get into that complete zone of the groove like that. And so let that kind of inspire your practice on this, right? Just go for it, man. Just get in there and do a little counting and sort it out, but then really let yourself go. You'll be surprised when it takes over, when your body takes over. Really good feeling. So we've got one more to look at here, and that's just coming in on, the downbeat, right? So I'm going to have to refresh my backing track here. So I'll do a little edit here, and then we'll come back and do that, and then we'll get you to the practice loop. All right, one more to look at, and then we're going to start putting them together, and I'll do a demonstration of that, and then we're going to get you to your practice on this. Now, one thing that you might be, before we get going on this last one, it's like, okay, you're not, discussing, the note sequences as much. That's true, I'm not, and I don't mean to like put you in a bad way with that, right? Where you're kind of like, having a hard time kind of emulating the sound of this because of the note choices. But if you go back and watch that YouTube video, I think it's the primer for that aspect of it, okay? And, you can't do everything in a, 18-minute video or whatever, right? So this is more about the timing. But you put these two together, you'll get it. So in these examples, I'm going to come right down on the one. I have to kind of make myself do it because I kind of want to do the other two that we were just looking at more. But I'm going to try to, keep myself on task here, and then I'll do a little mixing of them all, right? And, listen to your track. Let it play. Don't just 1, 2, 3, 4. And try to start pouncing on your backing track. You gotta already be in it when you start playing, right? 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, right on the. Okay, right, see, some of that sounds okay, but it sounds very, even, right? So now watch it, just nothing fancy, but I just go ahead and intentionally wait for that beat 2 and that end of 1. Check it out. That one's cool to start right on the 1, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1. 1 and 1, 2. Okay. This is fun, man. Another great example of this type of thing would be Billy Gibbons. It's really, just talk about going after the one, just investing in that, just the repetition of some of that stuff, right? And, I really love Keith Richards, man. I mean, he's such a character and everything. He's just such a, fabulously interesting person. But, the way that he's just kind of like letting himself go, and the exploration that's in those albums. And I mean, this is not stuff where, this isn't Steely Dan stuff on these albums where it's like, oh, everybody's got to keep doing it till it's perfect. It's like, I mean, I don't know how they do. I guess it's like, if it's too clean, we got to like take a break and like drink for a few more hours or something, and then do it some more, then do it again and get a real loose, take of it. So reason I bring that up is that trying to copy stuff like that, it'll only take you so far, right? I know there's a lot of that on YouTube and stuff, but copying Keith Richards, you know, I feel like we get more from just like, a kind of, letting a little bit of the spirit of Keith Richards in, right? And it's kind of you're modeling sort of some version of somebody's kind of freedom of artistic expression, not some technical thing, right? Hope you enjoy this. Let me know how it goes. Thank you all for all your support. I'll talk to you next week.